everyone. Okay.
Hello.
Great. Okay, you're hearing a sound right now, and the sound you're hearing is not me. Well,
No.
it is me. It's someone else. One might argue a she, her.
Right.
One might argue a woman.
True.
One might argue a person next to me.
Yeah.
And her name is Amelia Montooth. Welcome to Main Character with Yasmin.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I have been wanting to have you on the pod for a while now. We've been talking about this for, I feel like, 7 months.
I know. I'm like, since I saw you on Dare We Say, I was like, I need to be on set with this girl immediately.
So that's how we're going to start this off. How do we know each other?
I guess I would say worked at the same place.
Yeah, we
but
worked
like,
at the
kind
same.
of not.
Look, we were
You
never
didn't work there. But
no,
you,
I was talent.
a host.
A host, but like a producer, but like a host. We were at Crooked, and I was on Dare We Say, and you were doing
I was doing news and politics social for them, so I wasn't really on Dare We Say, which was tragic because
that is like actually one of the most tragic things because you are Gen Z,
I
and that
know.
whole show is Gen Z.
I was like, it was supposed to be like a Gen Z political show. I was like, can I please work on the
that
show?
was
And
like
everyone
actually no, that was like kind of shit that you.
I know.
weren't
I was
on.
like, I have ideas. I have thoughts. I have feelings.
I know.
And they were like, no, go talk about Trump and the indictment.
And you're like, fine.
okay.
Overall, just knowing you have been someone that I've like just looked at with such enamor because I feel like you're so brilliant in the way you go about your life, and also like you do give voices to the Gen Z, like to Gen Z because of like you bring up hard conversations that people don't want to talk about. I feel like you're constantly pushing the envelope. Her TikTok, your Instagram. I mean, also like you interview people constantly. You'd be a great host.
Thank you. I'm really excited. I'm going to actually do my own interview show starting this summer, which I'm really excited about.
Oh, well, you guys, you need to stay tuned for that. Oh my God, you better plug it.
I know, I'm excited.
Oh my God. Well, going back to why I wanted to talk to you, whenever I'm with you, I feel like the first time we ran into each other outside of work was like at the Silver Lake Flea Market.
Yeah, which is a classic place to find two queers.
Yeah. Silver Lake Flea Market. We both were like, wait, we're both moving to New York together.
Yes.
We're both like, we don't have many friends in New York, but let's do this. We want to make our career like without the help of, we're not Nepo babies.
No.
So I wish I was.
Yeah, I'm like literally any day. If anyone around me has generational wealth, just let me know. I'm looking.
I'm a Nepo baby when it comes to like tech.
Okay, valid.
So like I can't like say like I'm not a Nepo baby, but I'm not in this industry a Nepo baby.
Right. I could be a Nepo baby of small town lawyers or of small indie self-published authors.
That's crazy.
It's not the industries that I'm going into.
But that's also like so niche of being like
super niche.
Like
combo.
what kind of Nepo baby are you? You're like, I mean, small town.
Yeah. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm not even, honestly not. The people in Phoenix, Arizona who are actual Nepo babies are like commercial real estate kids. I'm like, my parents.
There's a special place in hell for commercial real estate people because
I'm so scared of them.
I just feel like in the depths of real estate, I feel like.
Oh, it's scary.
Like you
out there.
have like home real estate, which I'm like, I feel like I could get down with you. Like I know
already. I'm like the guys who are doing real estate or like real estate agents. Like they're like would have worked at Deloitte, but like didn't quite make the cut.
Exactly. Like they definitely went to business school, but weren't the top 10%.
Right. Yeah. And then the ones who like were a little bit, I think, more sharky, like went into commercial real estate.
They went into commercial real estate.
Yeah, those are the guys doing coke at the frat house on Saturday night.
I feel like all of them are doing coke. They're just doing good coke.
Right.
That's the difference is like they're doing coke that like they literally they just opened the crystal of coke.
Yeah.
And they just cut it up themselves.
Right.
Whereas the rest of them are probably doing speed.
Right, exactly.
Like low grade meth.
Yeah. And honestly, good for them.
I don't know about
Whatever
that.
you have to do to get through the day in this capitalist society.
That's the thing. Right. We have so much to talk about because I feel like you're so brilliant and genuinely, I'm not saying this to blow smoke up your ass, but I wish some people in our lives, and when I say in our lives, I mean like on social media, on just the people around us.
Yeah.
Were as educated and like interested about being educated as you are.
Thanks.
Because sometimes I look at our generation, I'm like, why don't you just read a book?
I know.
Like genuinely just read a fucking book.
I know. We're in this weird like anti-intellectual like era, and I feel like people think it's like pretentious or even classist to suggest reading, but like I watched a really interesting YouTube essay about this, like video essay, but I feel like it is just like, I think it's just important for all of us to be curious, because if you're not curious and you're not paying attention, that's when crazy shit happens. And we all want to live in a better society. I'm like, I don't know, I think we all are really aware of the problems that we all face, like as Gen Z, and like how fucked up like our economic situation is, our government, war, all the things. Like we know everything that's wrong, but I feel like what we're missing is that like curiosity or like desire to make things better. And I feel 100%. Like that is where the internet can get tricky, because if it feeds you videos all day long, like I mostly watch like makeup and beauty and hair, like I feel like I consume a lot of that shit, and it's like, it's nice, it's comforting, it's soothing, and it's easy to like, when you have entertainment at your fingertips 24 hours a day, it's easy to not want to like read or
they're like, it's almost, I feel like we're pigs and like we live in a farm, and the people who are feeding us are fattening us up just to execute us, just to kill us. That is literally
that's exactly what it is.
I literally feel like the patriarchy, and I hate, and here's the thing, I'm gonna be honest, women who are like, oh, the patriarchy, blah blah blah, piss me the fuck off. Oh, really? But it's true.
Yeah, it is true.
But it's true. But the reason why I'm saying that, because usually people who are saying the patriarchy are white feminists.
Yeah.
Like I really feel like when people are calling out the patriarchy, they are forgetting. They're usually white women who are like very like turf coded, like white feminism type things.
Right.
But it is true. And also I was reading this thing how like the new wave of feminism is actually the matriarchy.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in learning about that.
I know.
If women ran this world, I don't think we'd have as much wars.
I know.
I think we'd have petty like subtweets.
Yeah, honestly, the best fucking subtweets of your life, I bet. I know. I think it's interesting because I think when you're critiquing the patriarchy and you're not like, I feel like what you're saying is so true about like white feminists and people who are just like, oh, it's like the problem or that men are in charge or whatever. And like if women were in charge, but then we see what happens with some of these like girl boss CEO type beat. And it's like, right. If you want to fix the system, it doesn't really matter who's leading the system. It's like you have to change the whole thing. Like patriarchy and capitalism are like so deeply intertwined that it's like if you want to get rid of one, you kind of got to get rid of both.
So
get rid of both.
This is what Alicia said to me. I love Alicia. We love Alicia.
I love Alicia.
She's one of my
full ass vibe.
She said to me, "I'm tired of adding seats to the table.
Yeah,
I'm tired of it.
Yeah."
I want to burn the table.
Yeah,
I want to wreck it.
Yeah,
but then I want to rebuild it all together.
Right, like
and create a table where every seat is already there for every person from every walk of life.
Yeah.
One would argue, I'm like afraid to even enter this, but abolition.
Yeah.
But like it is. Like it is to say that. But like obviously like if you ever say anything like that, you're like, oh, you don't know what life is like. I feel like so often I've had men, and I'm not a men hater. I want to be very clear. Like I have to defend myself. That's crazy. That's crazy.
That's okay if you are. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but like I do believe in good men. Yeah. I do, obviously. And like men also, without men, there wouldn't be a society.
Yeah.
But also like I saw this TikTok that was like this guy, it was an interview. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
No, I don't know.
And he's like, men have the highest rate of like mental health, like with unalivings. Men are always the first ones in war. Men are always in the front line of workers. And then this woman sitting back and she goes, and who do you think created that system?
So
and then it's
true.
like, I know. Like just a bunch of edits. And I'm like, y'all are complaining about XYZ, but you created it. Like, how are you like pissing on?
I know, well, that's the thing where it's like men suffer under the patriarchy just as much. They just 100%. Don't realize it. More emotionally, not really financially as much as I would like them to. But yeah, they suffer under the patriarchy too. It's like also with patriarchy and capitalism being so intertwined, it's like there are a lot of young men who are suffering under like horrible labor conditions or like not making enough money or like doing manual hard labor and are getting like fucked by it. And instead of blaming like capitalism and the rich people who are putting them in that position, they're like, oh, fuck women. They're like somehow, but it's my wife's fault. Right.
Somehow
like, my wife didn't defrost the chicken fast enough, and so therefore I'm pissed.
Well, you see, but like the tragedy that was the bridge that collapsed because of the boat. All 6 workers who were working, they didn't get a call. They were all immigrant men.
Yeah. It was so disheartening.
And the thing is that could have been avoided.
Right.
It really could have been avoided.
It absolutely could have if we had better infrastructure on the other things. And also I just think the fact that there was like such little outcry about those conditions because they were immigrant men who were the ones that
Joe
died.
Biden, I was listening to Democracy Now.
Oh, love.
Great news source to listen to. I think it's very unbiased.
Yeah.
Because they're literally looking at it's very left. Like it's very left.
It's a great source.
I don't watch CNN anymore after what happened in the Middle East.
I never have because I don't have cable.
Wait, that's crazy.
I never had cable. So I had cable when I was like a kid, but I have not had cable in years. So I don't have any understanding of like CNN, MSNBC. I feel like it's honestly a whole weird like gap in my political knowledge is that I'm not up on the like newsroom shit. Cause I'm like, I've never consumed news that way. Like,
how did you, we'll get there.
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with the big one.
All right, let's hit it.
2024.
Ooh, scary. The year that we're currently in, the election year.
Because the election year is coming up. Also, I'm pretty sure I read that this year is the biggest year for elections globally.
Yeah.
And they do that where countries, they talk. They discuss how they make sure that people aren't, different countries and different societies aren't having elections all in the same year.
Yeah.
Because it causes instability.
Global unrest.
But somehow this year it is.
I know. It's kind of spooky.
How do you think this is going to go?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because Trump is literally in a criminal trial right now. And I think that it's really going to, I don't think anyone is paying attention to that, which I get. They're going to find out when he gets like sentenced or not sentenced. But
he's not going to get sentenced.
Yeah, I kind of doubt that he will. He'll probably get hit with some fines. And I just am curious if it'll happen before the election or after. But I think that right now, everyone's kind of like in the same boat of not really paying attention. And it always happens this way. I feel like when you work in politics, there's like the whole like 18 months before election day is like, it feels like the whole election is happening the entire time. But for most people in society, the election really happens from like September, October until November. So I think most people probably haven't really thought about it. Most people our age probably haven't made a lot of decisions about who they're voting for. So I think that in August, we're going to have a really different understanding of what the stakes look like.
100%. I think so much is on the ballot.
Yeah.
So, because it's not... I'm very cautious about how I'm speaking about this election.
Yeah, because there's a lot to think about.
And the fact that we're even afraid to talk about it, I think, is something that can be discussed in a year.
Yeah. I think there's so much behind it. I think there's a lot also about the timing, because I think that something with like third parties that I think about a lot is like with our electoral college system, the way that our parties are structured, like there's basically no space for third parties right now. And I really
Which is
want
crazy
that.
to me because like the two-party system has not worked.
Right. Clearly.
It does not
Clearly.
work. We're like one of the only countries that actually has a two-party system.
Right. And it was
And
never supposed to be like that.
no, like
George Washington was like, don't have a two-party system. Like it was literally never intended to be this way.
our founding fathers, who people like Marjorie Taylor Greene bend over backwards, pop their badussi
I
for the
know.
Constitution.
For the Constitution.
For the Constitution. But like George Washington literally said a two-party system's gonna fuck you up. Also, separation of church and state is primary.
I know.
And everyone's like,
We need Bibles at our school.
I know. And also you have like Eisenhower, even in like the 60s or the 50s, was like, be aware of the like
Yes.
military industrial complex. And where are we now?
where are we now?
Not
All of
saying
our
that we should've-
taxes.
Yeah.
Not saying that we should not have a military,
No,
but
I mean, well, do we need one? What if we just started the wave? What if we're like, we're going to get rid of our military so everyone else should too?
but that's not realistic.
I know. People are going to be like, girls know nothing about... I was an international relations major, by the way.
Yeah, I wasn't. I was a theater major, and I was a
that for
political
you.
science minor.
Yeah, which honestly is an iconic combo.
It is. My sister is international relations at GW.
Oh, really? That's sick.
At the Elliott School, and she wanted to go into politics. And after everything that's gone on in the last couple of years, she has decided she needs to step away.
Yeah, that
It
was...
is so. She had to write an essay about how to stop the famine in Yemen and like the global unrest in the Middle East, and she was like, "There's no way to cure it.
Yeah.
There's
unless
literally
you-
no way to
yeah.
cure it because of white supremacy."
Right.
And like, it's crazy. It's just crazy
Yeah.
to me. It's like, we'll get to that. But yeah, this year for 2024, I'm going to ask you, like,
Yeah.
I have to ask you because some people want to vote left. Some people want to vote right. Some people don't want to vote. Some people don't care enough.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the biggest elections of our time. And I know every fucking year we say that.
election is for the rest of our lives while we have fascists in office.
But I mean, it's just crazy. I think there needs to be an age limit. Just like how there's an age minimum, there needs to be an age limit.
Yeah.
I think it's 40 to 70. I really don't think, like, if your balls are hanging to your and the fact I said balls and
Right.
not like women's ovaries, because I don't think we're gonna see a woman president for a while. I don't. I don't think this country wants one. And when I say wants this country, I mean I don't think people, they say feminism, but they don't mean it.
I know, and it's also kind of like, would it even really change anything? Like if we have
Talk about it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of where I'm like, it's what we see with Democrats, Republicans a lot. I feel like there are a lot of, I think the parties are very different. I think the Republican Party is completely overtaken by fascists who want to like actually destroy every part of our government and have no interest in like passing laws or anything. So I don't think the parties are the same, but I do think the idea of just diversity, like whether it relates to like women or whatever, it doesn't actually change systems, right? Like if you're a woman in the presidency, you're gonna be dealing with the exact same pressures to be awful that like Joe Biden is dealing with, that everyone else is dealing with. And like I think most of the time you end up caving to the systems around you. Like it's kind of like, do you believe in a theory of change where you changed an organization from within or from outside? And I think you need both. Like, I think we need the AOCs to be in Congress. And I think we also need the activists to be outside and on the left.
The grassroots organizations.
Pushing everybody for their left.
Exactly. And I think it's the more I, like, learn about our government and the more, like, fucked I feel like we are. Like,
I know.
It's actually crazy. Like, the Rashida Tlaibs of the world. Yeah. I adore Ilhan Omar. Like, AOC. Cory fucking Bush.
I know. There are reasons to feel hopeful. I think it's really easy to start feeling cynical. And I feel like I've gone through so many waves of that since I first got into politics back like in like 2016, feeling all positive about the world. I was like, so like I wanted to get into politics to affect change. And then
you're like, I can't wait to change the world.
No,
and you're like,
literally,
bitch, you won't do shit.
I know. And then I feel like once you actually get in there, it's like, yeah, I think that there are people who are going to try to change it from the inside. I feel like that's not really my journey anymore. But I also think that there's so much reason to feel hopeful when you go to protests, when you go to community organizing events, when you see people like Rashida Tlaib and Cory Bush and all the people who are like actually standing up and doing cool shit. I feel like that's what I have to hold on to, because if we get lost in like everything is fucked and it's never going to change, then all of us feel more like it's okay if I order on Amazon because everything is fucked, and it's okay if I order Shein because everything is fucked.
Can I say something?
I order on Amazon. I'm not perfect.
I was going to say I order on Amazon.
Yeah, I do too. I'm not a fucking perfect person.
No, I'm not perfect. I order on Amazon. Like, I hate to, I've never ordered from Shein.
Yeah.
I could say that with my tits standing so high. I've never ordered from Shein.
I'm jealous. Mine are not, because I did order from Shein in college.
Every time you order from Shein, your boobs drop.
Yeah, just 1 centimeter lower and lower.
Every child that's crying doing manual labor for like 0 cents.
I know. And also our oceans and also our
our climate. But that's, yeah. But yeah. I'm going to pose a couple arguments for you that are coming with the election for you to like say regardless it does matter to vote, because I'm just gonna say it straight. People are gonna not like this when I say this. You don't need to comment on this, but people in my life are not voting because of what the Biden administration has done to the Middle East. I think every president in our past has been a war criminal, and I don't say that just slapping on the title, because I think people slap on labels really fast now. But I do think every president has been a war criminal or has acted in crimes against society.
Every president that has been in office has allowed Guantanamo Bay to continue happening. And so that is a clear violation of like international law that every single president
international law
chooses.
doesn't hold anymore.
Right.
That doesn't. And like,
it never really did, I feel like, is the thing. It was always run by the US. Like, I feel like when you always have one country who has more power within the UN and within the UN Security Council, like, it's not international law. It's like what the United States wants. What happens.
Which is crazy. So like, I'm not going to tell a Palestinian person or a person from Mexico, who, by the way, Biden is like enacting the same laws Trump did with the border.
Yeah.
Mustn't us forget.
Yeah, no.
Like,
we mustn't not.
We mustn't not forget that Biden is also doing that.
Yeah.
That being, and I'm not going to tell them you need to vote for this man because of my democracy, my rights, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not going to tell that when your family was just blown up by our tax bombs.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be that woman to do it. I refuse. As an Arab woman, I'm not going to do that.
Right. And I think that's where it's important to note that there's other things to vote for. Like,
but that's where I was going to. So I want to ask this question. How do you have a conducive conversation? Because I'm not going to lie to you. A couple weeks ago, I had a conversation with a friend. And this person told me that they were leaning towards Trump because Biden hasn't done anything. And he voted for Biden in the past.
I started so stupid.
I started crying.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I started crying because I'm just like,
open your eyes.
How do you, my question to you is, how do you go about this? How do you convince someone, specifically in Gen Z?
Yeah.
Because Gen Z will make or break this election.
Yeah. That
we're not voting for Biden. It's about voting for the House, for the Supreme Court, for the Senate.
And also for like city fucking council,
bro.
Oh,
local elections. Like, local elections.
Like, that's what honestly always makes me insane. It's like people who don't want to vote, I'm like, whatever. But honestly, the people who are actually affecting your life, like if you care about abortion, if you care about queer rights, if you care about trans kids in your state, if you care about climate change, if you care about gun control, all of those things are affected by your city fucking council and your like state senate and your state house way more than the federal government. The federal government is important, and a lot of times they'll give funding for like climate programs, they'll give funding for states to like implement these rules, but a lot of the time the things you actually give a fuck about, nobody in Congress is doing shit about them. The people at your city council who you probably don't even know their fucking names and they probably won their election by like 4 votes, those are the people who are deciding all of that shit for your life. So I'm like, if you don't want to vote for Biden, if you don't want to vote for Trump, whatever, but if you actually care about any of these issues and you want anything to get marginally better for the people who live in your community, look at your city fucking council and honestly run for your city council, run for office. It is so not hard to run for office.
But please be educated before doing so. I'm tired of idiots going and running for shit.
Yeah, like definitely like get educated. But I just think for young people who like care about these issues so much that they don't want to vote for president, I'm like, if you care about the issues, you should vote in your local office. But also voting is like the bare ass fucking minimum.
I do believe if you don't vote, you don't have a right to bitch. My mom always said that to me.
Yeah, if you don't vote, but also like if you're not voting, I would hope, if you're not voting because you care so much about these issues, I would hope that you are like engaging in community and like going to protests and like going to community organizing events. Like the options are not vote or don't vote. It's like vote, get involved in your community, talk to your fucking neighbors, look at what's happening in your city council, show up to a city council meeting and say some shit to their faces. Like that's what actually will affect change. And anytime you're feeling like the world is over, like everything is fucked, like go do something in person in real life with another human being and you will feel so different.
Also, I feel like it's just human connection.
Yeah.
We lack that in this society. I'm going to bring up, I want us to have a little quick dialogue of like, I'm going to it's like role play.
Yeah,
let's role play, Amelia.
Okay. Ooh,
wait, let's role play.
How crazy are we getting out here?
And then I want to go into why it's a trend now to not give a fuck.
Yeah.
It's cool to not care.
Yeah.
And I want to go into that TikTok, social media. I want to hear them, and I knew you fucking would. I'm going to play a cutesy TikTok girl.
Ooh.
I'm going to play this girl that I'm pro-choice.
Right.
I have gay friends.
Right.
I'm
good for you, queen.
Yeah, I have gay friends. I have black and brown friends. But I just really like, do I need to like talk about politics all the time? Like, does it matter if I really say to vote on my social media? Like, I mean, sure, I'll like vote on the last day or something, but what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that everything is fucking political. I think everything is. And I think the people who don't want to talk about it are like wasting their own time. I'm like, if you don't want your kid to go to school and be afraid of school shootings, you should be talking about politics. If you don't want your medical bills from giving birth to like bankrupt you, you should be talking about politics. Like if you want your life to materially improve, you should like talk to other people and get involved and pay attention. Otherwise, we'll just be like fucking, what is the analogy? It's like when frogs are like in boiling water and they just like turn the water up slowly and slowly. I'm like, that's how we're gonna be. Like if you think that this doesn't affect you, you're wrong. Even if you're rich, even if you're privileged, even if you think that none of the shit that Trump could ever do would ever affect you, you're wrong. It'll affect your kids. It'll affect your family. It'll affect your grandkids. Like if you want them to have a planet to live on, it'll affect you. So pay the fuck attention.
But my question is like, what if I lose brand deals? What if I post for something, but then I can't pay rent after that because I sided with one side over the other? What would you say to that, Amelia?
I would say grow up. No, I'm just kidding. I know everybody needs to get their bag and I understand that. But I also think if you're an influencer and you're putting like random brand deals over your like actual integrity and values, like even if you're not an influencer, I think that people forget that a lot, that all of us have platforms. Like even if you have 500 followers on Instagram, you probably have more of a personal connection to them than like a random giant influencer. And honestly, I think would make a way bigger difference if somebody with like 500 followers is like posting about shit all the time and talking to their friends about it than even people with 1 million. I think all of us have a platform. And that's why when I am encouraging influencers to talk about politics, it's not because I'm like, everyone needs to be a politician and everyone needs to whatever. But I'm like, everyone needs to be a person. All of us are people. If you have 1 million followers or you have 5 followers, you have a platform, you have connections, you have friendships, you have values, you care about them. And we all should be using our platforms in the ways that we can do the best with them and like spread information about stuff that we care about. And also I think people think that politics is like boring or sad or stressful or whatever. And I'm like, it is that if you're like avoidant of it. If you're like leaning into it, like, yeah, it could be sad a little bit. But also I always feel the most hopeful and the most happy and the most engaged when I'm like at a protest or like at a community organizing event, way more than when I'm like on TikTok watching a girl like get ready with me.
And my last question for you for this little segment is, but how do I get educated? I don't know where to start. Where can I read a book or something? What do I do to learn?
I know. That's honestly a good question. I think that the real truth is that if you wanted to be a perfect person, which I am not, we all would be subscribing and paying for local news. That's the ideal.
I don't. I'm not going to lie. I don't.
I know. And the thing is, like, I get it. People don't want to add another subscription, but I'm like, how much are you paying for Netflix and HBO? Do you want, like, I think that people also don't realize that, like, most of the news that you get is done by, like, very qualified reporters who spend, like, years and years, like, working on these stories to, like, uncover shit. And that shit costs money.
Another thing on your TikTok that you talked about, which I was like, wait a damn minute. Why does everyone under the fucking sun do this? If they're a celebrity and they have like maybe over 500,000 followers, why is every celebrity creating a beauty brand now or a brand?
I know. Isn't it funny? Because when we were growing up, I feel like the only celebrity brands were like random perfume bottles.
Random.
Yeah, it was like Britney Spears had like her own perfume, and like that was kind of it. And that was like as much as you would get from them. And then I think Rihanna really changed the game with Fenty, obviously, and there was a need in that market, and it made a lot of sense for her. But I think that it's also like, again, a product of capitalism. The wealthy have so much more wealth, and they want so much more, and everyone like just wants to be so fucking wealthy because they're afraid. I think because the stakes of capitalism have gotten so high, it feels like if you are not wealthy, you will like be in poverty. And so I think that a lot of people, especially, they know that like influencer careers never can be short, so they want to get as much out of them as they can, and I understand all of that. But I think it's sad because I just think that like we don't want our musicians making products. We don't want our musicians becoming business people. I want them to be making music that I can shake my ass to and cry to on the dance floor, and I don't want them to be selling me body wash and like face oil. I'm like, I want you to be making music. Do the thing that you want to do, that I want, that I like from you. I don't need to be buying shit from you. I feel like it's also sad because music and art are supposed to be such a like counterculture way of like expressing things that society needs to change and like be different about and like be better about. And the more that we have like business people, like straight up owning, like billionaire, like conglomerate ass people who are like also the artists of our generation, the more that we lose their ability to like critique the systems, because they are the systems. Like Rihanna's a billionaire from her beauty brand, not from making music, and I get that, but I just feel like it's like, can we all just like chill out? Like, you don't need to monetize every single fucking part of your life. And if you live a comfortable, happy life, like that should be enough.
That should be enough.
That should be enough.
But I also feel like, what are you doing differently? Like, other than like genuinely Rihanna.
Yeah.
I can't think of anyone else's stuff that I'm just like, wow, this changed the game. Now, it's different when it comes to like celebrity makeup artists, celebrity hairstylists, because when you make your own stuff, you've been doing this for a living. You are like now creating something bigger than yourself, and like it's not the goal. Like, who knows? I'm like all for that, but I'm like, every celebrity, every model now are starting their own like clothing line. Like, I know I saw like this influencer, her and her friend, and like my friends and I talk about this sometimes, but like all of their I was gonna say what they're called, I'll tell you after.
Okay.
All of their models are thin girls.
Yeah.
Thin, tall girls. That's all there are. And like, they're also not making anything creative.
Yeah.
Like, nothing is like revolutionary.
I
like
know.
If you're gonna genuinely, I don't care if you're white, I don't care if you're skinny, I don't care if you're this rich or fucking privileged billionaire. If you're gonna sell me something that's no one's ever done before, I'll buy it.
Right.
I will buy it.
Yeah.
But
you're like, I'll consume.
I'll be the consumer. I love being a consumer. I'm a sheep. Let me be in the herd.
Yeah.
If it's something that's never been done before, but if you're gonna be making a skincare line that's just like Skin Cuticles, if you're gonna be making a makeup brand that's just like, I don't know, Pat McGrath.
Right.
What are you doing differently?
I know. That's why it just feels like such a cash grab. Like, I feel like that's why it just doesn't feel like it hits anymore. Like, the D'Amelios making popcorn. I was like, girl.
They made popcorn?
Yeah, they made popcorn. It sells in like Walmart. And I'm like, girls, like, I get it, but like, at the same time, you're already so wealthy. Did you need it? I get that they want something that will like live longer than them, and I think they know that their careers are short.
They know that dancing on TikTok isn't gonna be it anymore.
Yeah, and I also feel complicated because like for models, for example, it's like I get how historically models were like fucked over by the fashion industry in so many crazy ways, and they had no agency, and like now they're able to do things for themselves and make their own brands and have control over it, and I think that's good in some ways, but I think at the same time it runs the risk of like, are you even like checking the ingredients that are going in this shit? Are you even like doing your proper research? Are you like ripping off other smaller brands? Like, I feel like that's where it starts to get tricky, when people are just doing things as an obvious cash grab and they're not actually caring about like the product or the consumer of these products.
100%.
Like, they just want to put shit into the world. They don't think about the people who are buying that and putting it on their baby or whatever. Like, that's what fucks me up.
Like Kylie's new brand.
Oh my God.
KHY. I'm not gonna lie, I love I ordered a top from there, and like it looks really good on me.
Wait,
but
really? Okay.
but then I found out that she totally grabbed those designs from an Australian
which
creator.
the Kardashians always fucking do.
They're like,
They've never had an original thought in their damn lives since making that one sex tape. And that wasn't even like that.
Well, like, I mean, have you heard Taylor Swift's new song about "Thank You, Amy"?
I
It's
know,
like,
okay,
it's
I
actually
have-
really good. I know you're not a Swiftie.
I know. I'm sorry. The song, the lyrics. It's like I don't know. Why is she acting like Kim Kardashian's a high school bully girl? Like you're 30-year-old billionaire.
though, but like she
she's
did
like,
fuck
she's
her
a
over.
billionaire. I'm like,
Yeah,
what
but like
is that?
still like she's making music. She's not making a makeup brand. She's
Right.
not doing
She's,
all
and
that.
good for that. Good for her. I just feel like sometimes her lyrics are giving so like middle school victim, small girl, like getting bullied, and I'm like, girl, you're like. Even when you were getting bullied by Kim Kardashian, you were still at the top of your motherfucking game, making so much money, one of the biggest artists in the world. Like, she was so powerful. It's just so funny to me to see her be like, I was like getting pushed down the stairs with my high school bully. It's like you were fighting with Kim Kardashian. You're Taylor Swift. Like, relax. Also, like, let it go. I don't know.
I'm gonna disagree with you.
Yeah, that's valid.
Because like
you defend them, and also don't put this on. I'm so afraid of Swifties. I know you guys are powerful. Don't hurt me.
guys, that's something I wanted to bring up.
I'm scared. This Swifties actually scared me the fuck
I wanted to
out of it.
bring up like also the military.
Yeah,
that is
literally.
fan base.
Yeah,
that is celebrity
fan culture.
stan base and stan culture. Like I can't even fathom like people who are like Kardashian like ride or dies to like literally create everything for them.
I know.
Or like also like Joe Rogan like men like those people scare the fuck out of me.
I know. I get conflicted because I am a stan at heart. Like I love stan culture. I love like obsessed. Like when I was in middle school, I had
Who were you
this
obsessed
one.
with?
I can't say it aloud because he's so deeply beyond canceled. It was Chris Brown. It was before. It was before. It was so far before. But I used to have posters of him like literally all around. Like I am a stan at heart. Like I've been a stan of like Tyler the Creator, like Mac Miller. Like I'll so get into those communities and like go off. But at the same time, I'm like stan culture is deranged. Like I'm never like making an alt Twitter account like supporting
it's
them or
so
being like girls get your streams up. Like I saw this one tweet where this girl was like, I was so excited to listen to Midnights, but then my boyfriend broke up with me and now I'm depressed. And a girl responded to it being like, just play the stream, like make sure to stream it, but just put the volume on really low. We really need the numbers. And I'm like, you guys, like we have to get for real. Like I think it's fine to stand someone's art and their persona and their vibe and like get into it and like have fun and be girly and love things with your whole heart. But at the same time, you gotta recognize like one, they're just people. They're just people, just like you and me are people, just like everybody's just a fucking person. And two, they might be a bad person. And three, you actually don't know them at all. You want to stand their music, but I think there's a difference between like standing someone's art or like the things that you relate to about them versus like them as a person being like infallible.
Well, that's the thing about like me, like my problematic faith, my problematic love would die for her. It's bad.
Who?
Like to this day, I'd ride for her.
Who?
Lana Del Rey.
Oh, love.
Okay, but
Sick.
like I know
Lana
she
Del
like
Rey's
I know
Lana
she
Del Rey's deranged.
like I know she loves cops. Like I know like she loves a man that just came out of a white prison.
No,
like
she is literally obsessed with like an old guy with a beard on a motorcycle, and like I don't understand it, but I love it.
but I can't empathize, but I will sympathize.
I know.
And like
and
for
she'll
her,
like put the American flag around her shoulders, and I'm
like she created democracy. Like she created
started the United States of America.
Marjorie Taylor Greene
She's my
would
person.
say that.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. Also, like I bring up Marjorie Taylor Greene and everything because like I like when I'm on the treadmill, I literally think about like cussing out Marjorie Taylor Greene and with her veneer fucking teeth.
I
Bleach
know.
blonde hair ready to fall out any second.
I know. If you're feeling like powerless and like everything is fucked, just go look up Marjorie Taylor Greene. Realize that person is in Congress. You could be in Congress. I feel like honestly that was something about working in DC and working in politics that honestly changed my life is once I was like, because you grow up and you're like, oh, congressman and like the president. And then you're like in DC and you're like, oh, these are just fucking idiots who decided to like run for office. Like they literally are no smarter than you and me. They have nothing special about them. They might have had money to help them run, but like they just decided to run. And that's where I'm like, we need more young people to run for shit.
100%.
You are just as smart as the people in Congress right now. I literally guarantee you.
That's the thing. And like going back to stan base, like also the stan base within like politics as well.
Yeah,
like,
oh my god,
people
like
writing-
Bernie Sanders can do no wrong. I'm like, I love Bernie, but he's just a dude, and he's honestly a really old white dude at that, and he is.
I do love Bernie.
Yeah, I love Bernie.
Whack shit.
Yeah, but like, also like, of course I love Bernie, but I don't think that Bernie is a perfect person who's completely infallible.
There
obviously.
is no perfect person, but
Right.
like people who are like dying for Biden, and I'm just like, you know who else is dying because of Biden?
An entire region of the fucking world.
Yeah, but we don't talk about the Middle East because they're just animals.
I know, it's honestly, it is really sad. I think there's like such a like exceptionalist like idea around the Middle East and just how it's like different and like, I don't know, there's so much tolerance for extreme levels of violence and death when it's people in the Middle East.
Because they normalize, just like when I feel like that's also like in the United States, like we're just tolerating men being locked up for 23 hours of the day in the prison system. But, like, because that's normal. Because they, like, committed a crime once. Like, okay, yes, some people did do capital murder, and, like, that can be a deeper discussion, obviously. But, like, isn't there something called rehabilitation? I don't know.
Yeah.
But, like, when it comes to, like, I feel like marginalized communities, things are so tolerated because of the color of their skin, the place that they were born, and their religion.
Right, and it's like the relation of, like, the juxtaposition of the level of power that they have. It's like about, like, if you're a marginalized community, it is assumed you have less power because there are less of you and all the things, and that way you can get away with doing awful things to those people. And also they're not typically, because they're a smaller group or they've been oppressed historically or whatever, they, like, don't have the same access to, like, systemic power as, like, the white people who have, like, been doing this forever. So it's like, of course they're gonna fuck with the people who aren't them. Yeah, but I don't know. I think we should get rid of all prisons. I don't think prisons should exist.
Yeah.
I think we should invest all the money that we're spending on prisons and on, like, arresting people and on the jail system into communities and into housing and education and food, and then we would have lower crime. But nobody actually gives a fuck about the crime rate. Like, politicians, like, just
people don't care about crime. Like, I think people, like, just say, like, crime, like this fucking mayor of New York.
I know, people just love to get scared about crime. Like, people,
the fear mongering of the United States is actually crazy.
I know. I have found, like, it's so interesting the kinds of people and friends and, like, family in my life who like to get scared about crime. Like, that's the only way I can describe it. I don't think they would describe it that way, but when they're sending me, like, did you see this, like, thing happened in LA, like, a couple blocks away from you? I'm like, okay, like, yeah, and I'm like, I don't know, I don't want to live my life in fear, first of all. Second of all, crime happens everywhere, even in small towns, and those crimes often might be, like, unreported, or, like, might be, like, sexual violence, like, might be, like, financial crimes. Like, crime happens all the time. I think the way that we think about crime is so racist and is so classist, and, like, we think about violent crime as one thing, but, like, if Bernie Madoff steals your entire family's wealth for the rest of your life and you guys are, like, penniless or whatever, like, that's not a violent crime. Like, if people, like, if insurance companies, like, steal from you, if, like, whatever, how is that not, like, a violent crime? Like, I think the way we think about violence is fucked.
Yeah, 100%. I think we can have, like, our whole conversation.
I know.
We could talk for hours about this.
I know.
Amelia, part 2.
I know.
But transitioning again, I feel like going back to why I think you should be a publicist. Also, like, in PR, like, manager Olivia Pope or if there's a rebrand that you could do for someone,
this is such a
celebrity. What would you do? Why? And how would you go about it?
I feel like when I'm saying rebrand, it's like I want to change something about them. Like, I would say I would love if Olivia Rodrigo was gay. I think that could be a really
but
fun
like, she's but like if you like rebrand, but you should
person.
just pretend to be gay.
Right, I'm like queer bait. Have you ever heard of it? No, I think that, like, Taylor Swift is someone who I would give a little rebrand. Not that she needs it. I'm just saying that
Swifties are like picking up a gun.
I know, Swifties are literally finding my social security number and, like, roasting her now. I'm like, actually cut all this out. I'm so scared of them. Who would I give a celebrity rebrand to? If I could go back to JoJo Siwa, I would say get her out of the sparkles. Get her some real ear piercings with, like, a needle that goes through your earlobe that, like, can have piercings in them instead of the weird fucking stick-on rhinestones that she's doing. I'm like, do that and be gay. And actually, I think what the best thing for JoJo Siwa's brand would be to, like, disappear for 2 years, go have a fuck ton of gay sex, go learn about the gay community, go, like, actually discover yourself as a human being, go on, like, a backpacking trip, like, go do whatever you gotta do, and then come back and be hot.
That's crazy.
Thank you.
That was crazy. Okay, Slay, you heard it here first.
You heard it here first.
If she does that, you know that you started that.
Yeah, if she disappears for 2 years and comes back, like, actually edgy and cool, I'll say, JoJo, what's up? Let's talk. And let me get my 10%.
And that's the tea.
Yeah.
You are gay.
True. Guilty as charged.
What was your coming out story?
Honestly, it's been such a journey. Like, I feel like growing up, I did not know any gay people at all. I was raised in Phoenix, Arizona.
That's crazy to me.
I know. I literally did not know a single gay person. There was not a single out person in my entire school. And so I feel like I was having, in hindsight, very gay thoughts and feelings. But I feel like I was having these thoughts and feelings, but I kind of thought that, like, everybody felt that way. I was like, oh, we all think Miley Cyrus is hot. Like, we all want to fuck Miley Cyrus. Like, that doesn't make me gay. Like, we all think Miley Cyrus is hot. And I feel like there was kind of, because I went to high school, like, I'm a little older than you. I went to high school in the era of, like, I was, like, in the Kate Upton, like, girlies with, like, big tits and, like, teeny tiny waists, like, eating burgers and being like, I don't exercise, like, I'm too cool for that. Like, it was a really weird era, and I feel like it was, like, being gay was starting to be more accepted, but I didn't know any lesbians. If I knew anyone that was gay, it was, like, a gay man. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like I just didn't think about it. And then I went to college, and I started thinking about it more, but I was kind of like, well, I told the story on my TikTok, but I ended up having a threesome with one of my really good friends because we were both like, we think we might be gay. Like, should we figure this out? And the only way we knew how was to like have a threesome. And then it turned out we weren't into each other because we were just friends. I just loved her. And then after that, I was like, oh, cool. Check that box. Like, I'm not gay. Whatever. Which was so crazy. So crazy. Like, the worst way to discover your sexuality. Like, don't do that. Like,
that's crazy.
So silly. Like, right, why would you be sexually attracted to your best friend who you've never been into like that? Like, stupid. But so I was like, cool, don't have to worry about it. Then I also didn't know any lesbians in college, which I think was also a big part of it because I was in a sorority. So scary.
What school did you go to?
I went to USC in LA.
You went to USC?
Yeah.
You don't give Trojan.
Yeah, thank you for that. I know, especially with what they're doing right now.
I know, that was bad.
I can't. So I didn't think about it. Then I graduated college. I moved to DC, and right away at my first job, I met a bunch of bi and queer women, and I was like, oh God. I was like, I think I need to think about this. But it was the election cycle. I had just gotten onto the Warren campaign. I had moved to Boston. I'd never been to Boston before. I was working like 7 days a week, like 12-hour days. And so I kind of just like didn't really have time to like think about it or like date really. So it's kind of like, okay, I know that I want to explore this, but I'm going to like table this for now. Then the Warren campaign ends and the pandemic starts at the exact same time. So I go home to Phoenix and I'm like, oh, I'm going to wait it out. It's going to be 2 weeks and I'll go back to the East Coast. It was longer than 2 weeks, as we all know. So I'm in Phoenix and I'm on TikTok, and TikTok starts being like,
oh my God.
literally, and TikTok is like, you're gay, you're gay, you're gay. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, fine. They're like, lesbian master doc, like, how to know if you're comp het, how to know if you've been gay this entire time. And I'm like, literally consuming all this, being like, is everyone's For You page telling them that they're gay? And then I feel like, because I was in the pandemic, I had so much time to think about it that I was like, I actually like really want to date women. And then I moved back to LA, and I didn't really know where to start. Like, I didn't really know what my type was. Like, I felt like such a weird virgin baby. Like, I was like, I feel like I'm starting over. Like, I feel like I'm in puberty again. And so it really wasn't until like I started dating women then, like mostly from like meeting people on Hinge, but I was kind of like scared, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I feel like a weird loser, and I feel like I'm like old for coming out at 23 and all these things. I was like so subconscious about it. And then I moved into this apartment, and like out of my fucking wildest dreams, we moved into this apartment, and the 3 girls who lived next door were 3 lesbians who were super hot and were our age and like were our
So it was like the universe being like, it's time for you to eat some cooch.
No, literally the universe was like, you love pussy. And I was like, okay. And so we met our neighbors. We all became best friends right away off the bat. And like they had a huge queer community and a big queer friend group, and they were the first like lesbians that I was really friends with and could like ask questions of and like have them give me advice and all the things. And also then my 2 neighbors started dating my 2 roommates. So our friend group of 6 became 2 couples. It was so
And you're out here like,
yeah, I'm out here like,
you're like, hi, so where's mine?
Like, where's mine? And then I did meet my ex through them too. So I feel like they
But we
really,
don't talk about her.
Yeah, but we don't talk about that. But they really like opened the door for me to understand what like a queer community could look like. And they would go to parties and every single person at the party would be lesbian. And I was like, I had never even
See, that's like insane to me because
that.
I've never been to a party where it's full of lesbians or like.
I mean, we gotta go back to exes, and we gotta go back to like Pat, and we gotta go to like lesbian events more because it's so fun.
But like, I don't feel like that necessarily is my space.
Yeah.
As a bisexual as well. Like, I hate to be that like person. I don't feel, well, first of all, thank you for sharing all of that. Like I feel like that's the same thing when it comes to like me realizing I was bi was like TikTok during the pandemic. I started like setting my Hinge to girls and guys. And then I would go on like Zoom dates with like guys from like Connecticut and then girls from Laguna. And then all of a sudden I'm like, what is this? Like, I don't know if I want to be your best friend or like want to hang out a little bit. And it's just so crazy because now, like, I'm in a queer relationship. It's my first actual real relationship. And it's beautiful, but it's also, like, I'm still a bisexual woman. And, like, when I go to these lesbian bars, like, I remember I went to that lesbian party, and I was like, this is crazy, but I don't feel like I fit in. But then at straight gatherings, I feel like I'm masked still. Like, I put on a mask because I'm like, I still have to fit in here because that's all I know. But I'm like, also, I just feel like there's constant, like, of that, like, I never had to really come out. Like, I'm not like, I'm bisexual, like, and I don't care to, nor do I ever want to. Like, you see me out, you see me out. Like, that is that.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's such a privilege to be able to do that.
Yes.
And like, I'm grateful for the pandemic for, like, allowing me to explore that. And also, like, TikTok really shows you queer communities.
I know. I think
it's weird.
We're
like, fuck technology. We're like, fuck technology, but at the same time, like, TikTok
nice.
I hate to say this.
I'm sad.
We're at the end of our episode.
No! This was so fun.
But with every guest I have on Main Character with Yasmin, I ask the most important question, I would say.
Yeah, let's get it.
Crucial question, I would say.
Yeah, give it to
One
me.
might argue detrimental.
Oh.
What is your biggest main character moment?
Oh God. Okay, the one that's coming to mind is not like a cool main character moment. It's like giving like main character in Euphoria in like a bad way. But
See, I love that shit. Keep it going.
Yeah, it's a main character in a spooky high school movie. But I was studying abroad in Paris, as a bitch does, and it was like one of my.
Of course you did. Yep.
Yeah, of course I did. And it was like one of my last nights in Paris, and we like went to this wine bar where they serve you wine in like baby bottles, and I had like probably 2 bottles of wine.
Oh my God.
It was fucked. And then we decided to go out after. We're in a big group, and then somehow me and my friend get like separated from the group. Her phone gets broken. She's going home.
It always happens that way.
Always happens that way. All of a sudden I black out, and I black in, and I'm in the back of a taxi, and this guy is like yelling at me in French, trying to be like, where do you live? And I'm like trying to communicate in French, and I like black back out again. And then I black back in, I'm at a police station, and now I have like 4 police officers in Paris who are like yelling at me in French, and they're trying to get me to unlock my phone. What I forgot is when your phone dies and you have a different SIM card, there's like a different password to like get into your SIM card than your phone. So I lock myself out of my phone completely because I'm like so fucked up that I like forget what the whole SIM card shit is, and I'm like so confused. Black back out. Black back in. I'm in the back seat of the police car. I'm in between 2 police officers in the back, 2 police officers in the front, and they are dropping me off in my apartment. I'm like, I must have figured out how to tell it to them in French also, which is like kind of crazy. But I get to my apartment and I go to sleep. I wake up with the worst hangover in my entire life. And then my friend also wakes up and we were like, what the fuck happened last night?
Why did you end up in the, I have so many questions.
I know, this is white privilege to a degree, like that is unfathomable. Like I was like that fucked up, and instead of like getting arrested or like getting fucked over, they like literally drove me home. Like that is privilege, and it's like.
But why did you end up in the police station is my question.
I think the taxi driver saw me fucked up and was like trying to help me, and I think maybe I called it. I genuinely don't know. I didn't even check my phone records. I really should have. Maybe I called the taxi because I knew I needed to go home, but then I fell asleep because I was so fucked up. And so he's like trying to wake me up and be like, where do you live?
I can imagine you at like a Paris police station.
No,
being
literally.
Like, bonjour, mon ami, I'm so drunk.
Sorry, I'm just a drunk American. They're like, yeah, that's why we hate all of you. They're like, this is the exact problem. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I just need to go home. And then they ended up taking me home. And it's the way that I figured that out in French in that state, I genuinely have no idea. But I made it home. So thank you to the police and I guess to white privilege. Sorry.
Jesus, you know what? That's a perfect segue to the end of this conversation. Thank God for the French.
Literally.
Amelia, thank you so much for coming on Main Character with Yasmin. I think the world of you. I think you are the voice of our generation. I think you are leading us to fucking victory. And you talk about everyone should go to city council, everyone should run for politics. Have you ever thought about you doing that?
Oh,
so that's something that we can talk about for episode 2 maybe if you want to come back.
Yeah.
But thank you for listening. Make sure plug yourself.
I make videos. I make videos on my own account at Amelia Montooth on TikTok and on Instagram. And then I'm starting to produce other stuff for other people under Mutuals Media. So follow Mutuals Media on Instagram and on TikTok.
And we'll see you next week. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks. Bye, Angel.
Make sure to like, subscribe, download all future Main Character with Yasmin episodes, and major thank you to our incredible editor and producer, Max Shepardson. I'll see you next week. Bye.